Good afternoon, guys. This is Eric LeClaire with Push Press, and we have our next episode with a great friend, former coach at my affiliate, and the creator of the Level Method. This is Nathan Holliday. He's a great guy to have in your back pocket for solutions, and it's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring him on our leadership discussion today. Nathan, if you could do a little introduction for those that are watching and may not know you.
For sure. Eric sort of mentioned it. I started coaching at his gym back in 2008 after I got out of the Army. That's really where I sort of got all of my coaching skills, and we sort of moved up the ranks, went into gym ownership, did some competition stuff, and really just have been in the world of fitness for quite a long time. And then after 4 or 5 years of owning a gym, started going down the path of creating the Level Method, and that has been just a massive learning opportunity in so many different ways. And over the past now 4 years, developed Level Method more. Our focus is to make gym owner lives easier in a variety of ways. And now my life is really taking care of the Legion, which is our group of gym owners within Level Method, and helping them in every way possible, and taking the skills that I've developed and the experiences that I have to just, help any way I can.
Let's dig in on that. I mean, obviously we've got a similar background where the term discipline or organization was necessary. Were there any defining leadership principles or values that you took from your time in the service and layered over any of your company or your development of your company?
Yeah, like for me, my military experience, it was my trial by fire in the sense that it taught me how to deal with things that I didn't like. So I came out of that with a whole new outlook. But the real leadership development, I would say, came through business, with really understanding that no one's going to do it. No one's going to come and help you. You have got to take control. And it took me a bunch of years to realize that. I was always sort of waiting, and this happens, when you're younger especially. You just think that mom or somebody's going to come and help, but nobody ever comes. And unless you figure out how to do it, right, it's not going to work, And I think that being just pushed into the dirt for so many years and thinking that I should be having success, but not getting the success, almost like I deserved it, that was really, through enough of those experiences, I came out realizing that if you're going to make things happen, you have got to do the work. And right. Then that's really, that's the lesson.
So if it didn't come, let's say, deeper down inside, what I really want to ask is, do you study this discussion or this discussion topic? Is leadership, organizational leadership, or direct leadership, or, is it something that you value and spend time developing in yourself so that you can in turn help develop your staff?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I am a big fan of archetypes and mythology. So anybody who's studied the work of Joseph Campbell or Hero with a Thousand Faces, you look through any of these stories throughout history, and they have common themes. You look at a Star Wars as a common theme, the hero's journey, this whole thing. And when you look at archetypes, there's 4 primary defines of the big ones, right? And there's a book it's the same name. It's King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, right? So these 4 primary archetypes. Now the king is the leader. The king is the person that is taking a look at the domain. It's much more meta level. And then you have the warrior mode, which is the worker, the person doing the stuff. And so through my studies of archetypes, mythology, just these big things, it has really directed me into understanding what the primary roles of these different archetypes are and how they manifest in my own life. And if something's going wrong in my life, it's generally an imbalance in one of these primary archetypes. So the king mode, as an example, is all planning. So having an understanding of what you're trying to do, having vision, understanding how to communicate that vision, getting people on the same page. So if I see somebody who isn't capable of doing that, as opposed to thinking, oh, there's something wrong or whatever, I look at it as an imbalance in the archetypes. We got to take a step back and sort of rank these different areas and figure out what's lacking, and then figure out what needs to be done in order to move those things forward. So like in my own practices, I mean, I'm very obsessive in a lot of different ways, but I do a weekly review. I've done a weekly review for a couple years very diligently. Every weekend, there's time spent to take a look at these sorts of things. And I go through these steps, and it's a lot of work, but it's totally worth it, because each week I take a look at what happened the past week and I sort of plan my next week. That's all king work. And for the first 10 years, I didn't do any of that work. I was reacting, just going through, and look at where we are now with the coronavirus and all that sort of stuff. When stress comes into our lives and there's a whole bunch of stuff that we cannot control, it's very easy to go into reaction. It's very easy to go into pure warrior mode, where you're just in it, trying to survive, trying to do all these things. But really, the value is going to be in taking a step back into that king mode and taking a look at all the different areas of your life and working to balance. And as the king, you then assign different duties to these different other roles, right? So your warrior role, a king role would be, I'm looking at my week. I have my primary outcomes that I want to do for my week. I look at my day. I structure out my day. I'm gonna get up at this point. I'm the king. I'm like, this is what's gonna happen. And then when I wake up in the morning, I'm now warrior mode, and I'm going through my day and I'm taking a look and I'm listening to the king's directions. What is it?
Yeah, you're just chipping away, knocking him down.
Right, just one at a time. And now if I fail as a warrior to follow the plan, that's a whole other set of things. I got to take a look. I got to see what's imbalanced. Did I give myself too much of a crazy schedule? Am I, what's going on? But I feel most satisfied and most fulfilled with my work specifically when I've looked at things and I've defined what it is that I want. And I've clearly defined my outcomes, and I know if I have been successful or I haven't been successful. If I've not been successful, then it's simply, let's take a look and see what went wrong and how we can fix it for this upcoming week. So the constant learning. It's not like I have all the answers or I'm no magically suddenly, this has been an ongoing thing for me, a constant study out of frustration for not having balance. The lover in the archetypes is all communication, connection with yourself, being able to rejuvenate, the physical environment, touch, all that sort of stuff is lover world. And if you're missing that, you're going to be missing out on a lot of passion in life and so they all interweave together. But the king leader and the one who has to direct. And I find a lot of entrepreneurs, this was me for many, many years. I didn't want to define what I wanted to do. I didn't want to be relegated to something now that but the whole idea is that once you make the decision, you can morph. You can make little adjustments as you go, but you have the general idea and you've done the work, the thinking. The thinking is the most important thing. It's one of the hardest things to do is to sit and think and come to conclusions and figure out what it is that you want and what you're going to do about it. Then you map out your plan, and then it's warrior mode.
Dude, so that brings me literally to the next step. I mean, clearly that structure that you've set for yourself has laid the framework for you to be able to deal with the present day pandemic, and you're able to have options. You're able to delegate, to communicate, to organize, to structure. I mean, I get a chance now, luckily, to sit outside of the gym ownership spectrum and look and watch how the level method has impressed upon other gym owners, made their lives easier. I mean, within 12 hours, I think of whether California was mandated or whatever. I mean, you guys had immediate solutions. You had an immediate response with the resiliency challenge. And it was like it was in your back pocket already. You were like, hey, I've got the solution for you. Here you go. Right. And it to flow, like the workflow was seamless. That wouldn't have been possible had you not arranged from the king on down your order and the planning. Am I correct?
Yeah. So essentially, I looked at the corona, everything, what you focus on is what you feel and how you view things, you know. So when this whole thing started happening, to me, it was an opportunity to really just step up. Like, here's a bunch of craziness that's happening. What can we do to actually make a difference? And so I've done challenges for years and years, and we had this, the Resilience Challenge was a repurposing of something that had been previously built. And there was a ton of work. You know, I called up John, my business partner, and we're like, you know, talking like, look, we should probably do some sort of thing that does this. As soon as we made that decision, I mapped out the plan. So we sat down, mapped out the entire plan. What are the elements that need to be in place to have a successful thing in all of these different areas? And when you look at mapping out a plan, coming back to the king, it's about defining the vision. It's really about defining the outcome. What is the outcome that you want to do? If you work by to-do lists only and you work by action steps only, you're going to get caught into the details. You're not going to be able to see the bigger picture. But if you think about outcomes as the primary thing, an outcome is like this end result. Now, how I get to this end result, it can be a whole different variety of ways, right? Yeah, it's going to change. I might get mixed up, but if I have that picture of where I'm going, I can look at that constantly. It brings me back, and I'm like, okay, now with all the assets that I have, what can I do to get to that result fastest and most efficiently? So that's what we did with the level method. Immediately, the entire business changes. Everybody's experienced this. Every business that anybody has, me now, a completely different business. Like, you're doing something completely different now. So you got to think to yourself, well, what's the outcome? What do I need to be focusing on in order in this new environment to continue to deliver, you know, a product, a service, or whatever it is? So the buckets that we focus on a day-to-day basis have changed. So before, I might be focusing on intros and doing, okay, that's all gone. Right away, we're moving to virtual coaching. And so then it's like, okay, if I'm going to do a virtual coaching business, what are the things that need to be in place? Well, I need to make sure that I have a way of giving the programming. I need to make sure that I have a way of keeping the quality high. I have to have a way of giving somebody workouts that are predefined and good. So the level method now we came up with, we need an engagement, a way to engage. And this is universal. You can, any gym owner can use the ideas, because it doesn't matter. Again, the way we did it was through like a resilience challenge, but the outcome was to engage our members. Right. We need to have some sort of community engagement thing. That's the outcome. And so all across the world now, you see different people doing that in different ways. So we need to engage the members. And then we did at-home workouts, which was just to provide a high quality, you know, super good workouts for our people. And so those were the two factors that we had with level method, was at-home workouts, resilience challenge. These were the two central pieces. Now in my gym, at the gym level, it moved immediately to keeping people engaged, and then keeping the communication and the relationship totally tight. You got to make sure that, and the way to do that is individual program design mixed in with whatever sort of community and Zoom events you can possibly do. We got to mix those things in. But again, the outcome is the same. We got to provide our clients with an exceptionally good service where they know we care, where we're communicating them on an ongoing basis as quickly as possible. They put something in, we put something back, and then we need a way of spinning up the environment for the broader community. Pretty simple outcomes. Again, the way you do it is give ways to do it.
I love it. I love it. I've heard nothing but great comments and feedback for the gyms that we touch base with now through Push Press, that are level method gyms that are running the Resiliency Challenge. They're taking attendance. They're having a high level of communication. They have high touch points. They're able to celebrate. And you get to think to yourself at the end, or I shouldn't even say the end, how long this goes for, that thing can continue to move. Like, obviously it can be rebuilt and rebuilt and rebuilt, because how long does this go for? None of us know, right? Maybe it's April, maybe it's May, maybe it's June. Have you had a discussion yet with your coaching staff about pivot points or ways you care to change if need be, if this goes longer than, let's say longer than May?
Yeah, right away, I mean, all of the steps, one of the very first steps that we had at a gym level is getting the team completely cohesive, rowing in the same direction. Everybody knows what we're doing. The foundational idea is that we've got to engage and we've got to do true coach essentially. This is like, or not true coach, any way of doing it, but it's an individual program design. So that became the highest priority. Is like in our meetings, we're discussing now all of the things around making sure that we have defined what the outcome for the client is. Each client is different. Some clients don't want necessarily to be trying to get a bunch of, they don't want to run a mile in 5 minutes. They want to just stay consistent and get some structure in their day. Right. And so when you clearly talk about it, and so these are the sorts of discussions we're having with coaches, where as an owner role, my job is to I have my team of coaches, and I want to keep them with income. I got to figure out the way they're going to make some income. Well, they normally would be coaching these amounts of classes and whatever, they'd be making this amount of money. So how do we morph that and be able to do the same thing? Each community, each gym is going to be different, but that communication with the coaches so that they know, like, okay, it's going to be like this for a little while until we can then bridge back into regular stuff. But yeah, the ongoing coaching meetings is super important, and you've got to reinvigorate from an owner standpoint. And we're talking about the king role, the leader role. You've got to reinvigorate constantly. It's up to you. The what?
Yeah, like daily. I mean, that's going to be the role.
Oh yeah,
constantly deliver information.
That you've got to reinvigorate. It sucks, you're thinking, I don't want to be a cheerleader or whatever. Okay, it's, well, if you don't want to do that, then just be prepared for people to be sitting in their freaking living rooms, getting all like depressed and not doing shit. Yeah, exactly. This is what's gonna happen unless you're on top of it and you're talking to them and you're addressing these issues. You're getting people excited, because again, this environment, everybody's looking for somebody to help them sort of show them the way. Like, Where do I go? What do I do? And if you're that person, your clients are going to stay with you because they're looking for that. I mean, unless they can't because they've lost their job or whatever. But for the vast majority of people that are okay, and it is the majority. We look at these unemployment numbers and it's a staggering number, but it's still the majority is going to be okay. It's the people that are losing. And I mean, it just is a horrible situation, but we have that. And with the clients that we can keep them motivated and excited, that's the goal. I kind of lost my train of thought when I was talking about the unemployment numbers.
I take it, no, because that's the reality, is that a significant portion is going to be able to stay engaged. I mean, then we come to the point of, then what? People come back, the gyms start to thrive. But what if a gym owner doesn't make it there? I mean, I personally know a handful of gym owners that are at the brink of failure. They, for a myriad of reasons, but they're at the brink of failure, or they're very close. And if you were to deliver, maybe not even insight, but like, what would you say to them if you had a chance to face with them?
So, I mean, there's only a few things we can do. Number one, if you've lost a bunch of clients, you've got to get clients. Now, the thing is, if you've already lost them because for a number of reasons, these are all warm clients. These are prospects now, and you've got to win them back. You've got to show them why they are missing out. It's the fear of missing out. You got to show them why your community is still buzzing, why things are still awesome, that you have all these cool programs. You've got to fake it until people start coming back. The prospects that are out there going cold and trying to get Facebook leads and all that sort of stuff, that's not the best idea. You want to go right to everybody that you already have a relationship with and reach out individually. You got to go back to this like grassroots style of individual calls, individual emails, talking to them. It's going to be an exorbitant amount of work. You think that I want to put all all of my people in True Coach? If anybody who's ever done any program design knows that to put in Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's 50, 60, 100 people, 150. In True Coach, we're talking about a load. So number one, right away, you've got to be starting to pull people in that. I mean, this is my opinion, pulling them in that direction and training your coaches on how to deliver outstanding service, right? And having a set program. So this is what we're doing and what I recommend with Level Method specifically. We're delivering at-home workouts that are designed to be done at home. They're comprehensive. They're good workouts. We're putting a lot of time into this. And it seems to me even now that a lot of people have missed the opportunity, because what they're doing is they're delivering workouts to their members like, here's a group workout that we're doing, and then they're getting the levels, as opposed to taking those workouts and delivering them spaced out in True Coach, done for you already. I just got to put the workouts in, and then on my 2 or 3 home workouts a week with some simple progressions for any of their weaknesses, or maybe some habit development or some mental stuff. Yep. Yeah, some things that get them engaged, and you build that relationship. All the programming's already done for you, and now you're putting them in, you're making adjustments based on the workouts that they have, or sorry, the equipment that they have. You're free flowing with it, but you're delivering, you're keeping that engagement and that connection and the relationship alive.
Which is the original outcome anyway. So how they're getting there, right, could be different for the 150 clients.
Exactly. Each person's going to be a little different, and they're not going to leave if they know that you care about them and that you're delivering them value, right? We did a little thing before, like people that are hoping that people don't quit because they want, it's more of a charity style thing. And no offense to anybody that's doing that, right? There is something to be said about that. But my thinking is that we want to deliver value that's so outstanding that they're not going to quit, even if they're going to be like, this would be ridiculous for me. Look at what I'm getting. This is awesome. I'm making progress. I have a coach that cares about me. And and it's like, again, every community is going to be a little different with the relationship that you have with your clients. Some communities don't know anything about True Coach. And I've seen Zoom classes work really well, but in order for them to work well, where you do group Zoom classes, you've got to pay attention to the details, and you've got to deliver value. So that if you're doing Zoom, it means that you're coaching individually, you're touching base with people, you're sending attaboy cards the same way as you would have normally. Right. It's not now just suddenly a free-for-all. I can just sit back and not even have to worry about it. No, it's got to be even more, And so when I see, there's going to be a lot of struggle out there for sure, but the stress and the anxiety that bubble up to the surface comes from not being action biased. You want to be action biased. Now, if you're going to take action though, you better be sure that it's the right action. And in order for it to be the right action, you've got to do the thinking, and the thinking comes through planning. So you've got to take a step back, go into king mode, plan out your stuff. You got to figure out what the most valuable actions are, and then freaking double down on those actions. And what I've been saying now, all these little things, these are the actions that we've decided upon, and these are the ones that we've done. I've lost one person at my gym, and it was an entrepreneur who owns like 5 breweries. So he has 4 kids. He's out of luck. But I keep him on my schedule the same way. So I'm programming for it, even though he's not paying. I don't care. It's about that relationship and helping him, because he's going to need some stuff anyway, And the lack of losing a lot of people comes solely from being able to pivot, getting everybody into a platform that we're able to deliver value, and then spinning up as much of the community stuff as we can, and just keeping things cohesive. So, and then a really important thing is always casting the vision, casting what's coming. This is going to stop, at some point, it's going to stop, and we're just going to hit the ground running just like we never even stopped, right? We're just going to keep on rolling, right? And when people know that, they're like, yes, cool, this is good.
That's the winning strategy and winning team to be a part of, is someone that can have that vision that I can follow.
Right.
Man, I sincerely appreciate your time, your wisdom, your knowledge, most importantly, your friendship through the last 14, 15 years.